Here we go. We're on. It's the Facebook Live Fire Hose Show. And you know the whole goal with this show. What's up, guys? What's going on? What's going on? Well, the whole goal with this show is to really bring experts to you that are in our, in our field, in our market, right? That are doing what we do. Just bringing the love. And so this is going to be an amazing show. Let me go ahead and add Elijah on right now. Elijah, what's going on, brother?
My brother, what's up? How are you?
Man, I'm just excited, man. So glad to have you on. So thankful for your time, man, because I know you got 1,000 other things that you're doing throughout the day. Putting out fires here, putting out fires there, being a business owner, and just everything else you do, being a consultant and having your own practice there too as well. So, man, I'm just grateful for you being on this show, man, for the next 20 to 30 minutes.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to, delivering some value to you guys. That's what it's all about.
Ain't that right? And the thing is this is what I love about the social network, right? Even though, last week when I was trying to get this show on, right, it was going to be our second show. And I was, working behind the scenes, by myself on this because I couldn't get any of our tech people involved on it for whatever reason, right? And so I'm trying to get it going. And we tried 3 times and ended up failing, right? And I couldn't get on that I wanted to get on last week, right? So I was totally bummed, man. But you know how it is. You only bum for a second, and then you move on, man. So
Absolutely.
I'm just excited, man, that we have you right here, man, and that you're going to be giving us some amazing information, amazing content, amazing value. I came across you on the Facebook, right? And I seen a live talk that you were doing at a seminar with a bunch of gym owners. And usually when you just kind of going across feeds, right? You just kind of, for me, I'll look at it just for a little bit, maybe for about 30 seconds or maybe even 15 seconds, right? Because I have an attention span sometimes of a gnat.
Right.
Just like our market, right? Their attention spans, they just go through things really, really quick. So to be able to capture someone's attention, man, you capture my attention, seeing you in front of that audience and seeing them captivated by what you had to say. And that right there woke me up. And then from there, I started to listen to what you were having to say. And I was like, wow, that's some powerful practices that you were sharing right there that I could actually implement into my business, which I thought was very cool of you, and really showing the gift of reciprocity, man. So just really thankful for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely, brother.
Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and name off just some of your credentials, even though you probably don't want me to, right? But I always that's the standard for what we're doing, right? So not only is Elijah a fitness business owner, but he's a creator of predictable client systems, which I can't wait to hear a little bit more about. Facebook Live marketing strategist, and then ClickFunnels campaign specialist. And really, one of the highlights that really hit me too as well amongst all these was the fact that you run email sequences in funnels that you're running campaigns of 100+ emails to engage your audience in as little as 3 to 7 emails. Right. And to me, that's just like that's scientific, man. I know we can't hit everything in these next 20 to 30 minutes, but the first question I have for you is, how do you keep that prospect engaged, especially with, the minds we have? Really, I mean, the attention span that we really have is no less than 3 minutes, right, for the average being. And we're trying to engage people, on the social network. We're trying to engage them everywhere. And we're in a time and space now where it's so awesome where you can be everywhere, right? But a lot of us don't know how to be everywhere. We may think we do, but with all these new gadgets and all these new things that are coming out, it's hard to really stay abreast, right? So for you, how have you been successful in your funnels in engaging your prospects, not only at your gym, but then also having your other business that you're running when you're training gym owners how to do the same thing?
So for me, I always tell people a couple things, because you're so right about the attention span. The first thing, that you're so right. So the attention span is so short, so you only have a small amount of time. And I think the number one thing that I always coach on is that the first thing you want to focus on. A lot of people, they say, hey, look, someone's only going to look at my ad for a few seconds, and they try to get the ad to make the sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a marketing funnel, everything has a very specific job, right? And so it's almost too much information, or trying to make the sale right away can be the turnoff for a lot of people. And so we always sit down and we do, kind of a smart market diagnosis of our avatar, what they're going through, and we want to find that biggest pain point. In the ad's job is simply to sell the click, right? That's all we want to get them to do, especially if we're using Facebook. And so I want to talk about that biggest pain point. Immediately right after I bring that pain point up, I want to build some type of small report, right? It could be like, hitting that pain point and then talking about, hey, maybe I dealt with the same thing. And then that's kind of it, right? And then it's just like a link to what's next, right? And you want your headline to be talking about that pain point, to talking about them, because though we have short attention spans, we hate relating to something, and not being able to finish it, right? Like that cliffhanger. That's what the entertainment industry thrives on, right? And so if you see that, subconsciously you relate to whatever I'm talking about in the ad, the pain point. It's like, hey, I got to go see what's next. And then so that takes you to the funnel. So the ad's done its job now. When we get to the funnel, there has to be congruency. Whatever story we were telling in our ad, we need to continue that story right there. And actually, we need to restart the story. So basically all that means is mimicking exactly what was in the ad. Maybe that same headline, that same pain point. And you can make your funnel pretty, but honestly, a lot of my funnels that do, 45, 47, almost up to 50% conversion rate to cold traffic is just simple, right? It's just that it's just repeating that message and like, boom, here's the solution to it. Because the funnel's job, right, that landing page job is to sell the opt-in. Because until that point, we still have no information on these people, right? You're just an IP address at that point. We need you to opt in and show some type of interest. And the reason you came there is for whatever story I was telling in the ad. So I need to instantly give you that thing, right? Not go into my long story, or, all the details about it and things that make you read, and, then life happens and that attention span's over. It's like, boom, here you go, right? And so once we get them to opt in, then you can have, maybe it's an upsell, maybe it's another value bomb form, but they're in your funnel now. And so now you can nurture them appropriately. So that's why I always start with any campaign.
Yeah, that's huge. There's so much nuggets that you could just take right there, and we could just drop the mic. You know what I mean? But just kind of taking a little bit off what you were saying. I mean, just we think about it, right? Like OneReach.com, they basically say that the email open rate is 20%, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas a text open rate is 98%. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you can engage cold traffic, right? Because ultimately, what we want to do as gym owners, right, and the reason why we got into this was to just, really engage a person and be able to create shifts in them, give them the tools that we've learned, give them those tools, have them run with those tools and see them change their lives. There's nothing more powerful than that. But as you get into the business, you got to learn all the other techniques to be able to engage them. So you being able to engage them from a 45 to 50% response rate from someone being cold, now they're hot when they're walking into your gym, man, that's intriguing. Not many people are doing that. And that's why I know you got a lot of gym owners' attention. Can you tell me how you're able to I know obviously you're engaging with the story subconsciously, but what's your more importantly your client predictable system that a lot of your gym owners are using? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So the predictable client system is something that I pieced together, and basically what it is a 9-step system that we use. And what we do is we walk them through exactly what we started with, what we were just talking about. The first step really for us is part of it is a lot of people like to cast a wide net. And that's cool, right? We could get on this live and let's say there was 10,000 people in this Facebook group. But if none of them need our service or dealing with the pain point that we're talking to, that doesn't do them a service, right? And even to the point of, let's say men and women, for instance, in the gym fitness space, they are dealing with the same issues. They feel tired, they're out of shape, et cetera, et cetera. We have to address those same issues very differently. right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people just catch, a wide net. It's, local radius, and it's, just male and female. And it's just kind of like this general, like, hey, we got this awesome program and here's what's going to be in the program and blah, blah, blah. And you'll definitely get people from that. But you can get so much more engagement and a better opt-in rate, and your campaign can do better if you sit down and you think about, all right, what are these? And it's easy for gym owners. It's easy in our industry to do it because we work with our ideal client every day. So we know what Miss Johnson's dealing with, right? And if you don't, you can ask them. You have the pool to draw from. And so we can talk about, for instance, I could say, are you tired of, not feeling the most sexy, confident version of yourself, right? We know that because the women we work with in our gym, that's what they feel. They're like, I just don't feel sexy anymore. And it can be the lady who's 100 pounds overweight, or it can be the lady who's like 130 pounds and is just 5 pounds overweight for her. It doesn't matter. And here they feel that. And so if that's the number one thing they're dealing with, that's what we can talk on. So we start with that, right? It's just, who is our perfect avatar is what we call it, right? And we need to get that down because that's going to help us frame our $1 million message. And our $1 million message is simply what we want to be known for to our prospect. And it needs to be something short. It's like, maybe my gym, we work with all types of people, but this people we're marketing to, we have the ability to segment. And so maybe my $1 million message is, we help, stay at home moms, get their, go back to their prenatal body, right? That's something very specific. And so to them, again, if this ad, it shows, a mom and a child, and that's what the copy's talking about, and the landing page talking about, they feel like you're an expert for them. That security of knowing that, hey, I'm going to this specialist that specializes in this. And so you can do that with your $1 million message. And that is how you start bringing in, like I said, before they even really interact with you, these warm and hot leads almost, because they're like, man, this dude's a specialist. Like he's for me. Like, where has he been this whole time? And so that's kind of where we start there. And then it's just from there framing the perfect partial solution. And that can be, maybe it is one of the transformation programs, or maybe it's a lead magnet, whatever it is, but we want to solve something for them, right? We've caused them this pain. They're here. Let's solve it. Let's give them something. But we just want it to be the piece, because a lot of times they can't handle the whole thing up front anyway, but we can build that rapport and that relationship. And then once they got there, they're like, man, this is awesome. I've been, maybe I went through this 3-week detox program. This was awesome. What's next? Like, they can't wait to be basically upsold, right? And so that's just the
Man, that's huge, man. A lot of questions that like spurred out of that, out of what you just said. I mean, as far as us as being gym owners, bringing people in, I mean, there's different ways or different methods on that proverbial wheel, and there, the wheel of marketing, and then they got the spokes. So you got your emails to be able to engage them. You got, ads to be able to engage them. You got belly to belly to be able to engage them. Speaking engagement, speaking one-on-one, or speaking into a group setting. You have, like you were saying, lead magnets. When we're thinking about like that will of marketing, what needs to be on that will, for yourself being a gym owner, bringing people in, and then what is it that you've been able to use that has been able to help other gym owners, predictably bring in clients, right? How many clients are you bringing in a month? Just off your funnel sequences, off that one will.
So for us, for my fitness business, actually, we like, you talked about all the things you can have. I like just like you guys, I like the offer of giving them a program, right? And ours is a high-end program. It's almost $400 a month to come in right away. We like that because the reason we like that, because we don't start to devalue ourselves up to them up front, and we can solve it, we can build that relationship, and then we can move from there. But you need to sit down and think about, it's different for like the online space. It's going to have to be some type of lead magnet, right? Or maybe it's some type of nutrition plan. And so you just want to be you want to pinpoint what is the goal of that. Like for us, when we bring people in for our program, the whole point is for them to have some type of accountability and just a step-by-step program, right? And that's like we found like there are the two hot things. People are just like either like I know what to do, it's just like I'm so busy, or like I won't go on my own, or some people are just like, hey, look, if I'm going to get, I need just like hand holding basically. And so that's what we offer our 4-week program as this, and people come in and they're like, yes. And then, it's easy from there. It's like, hey, Mrs. Johnson, like you want to lose 35 pounds, you can definitely, go to this 4-week program. But this 4-week program's not going to solve it all, right? Especially if their biggest thing is accountability and they need that step by step. And so you can upset, it's 6 months, 12-month programs now. And that's where we really find the value. And when I run funnels to get fit pros into my funnel, it's just solving something from them. What's the number one thing they want to do? All right, get clients. All right, how do they get clients? Or maybe the number one thing they want to do is retain clients. Right, how to retain clients. And you want to give them some type of end date, right? And so like I said, just like in your 4-week program, they're going to lose some type of, body fat and things like that, but we never promise that in there. It's all our promise to them is that accountability and that step-by-step hand holding. And so just delivering on that. And once you deliver on that, man, you have a great relationship. And, it goes from, hey, I could go anywhere to like, man, this is the only person I can work with because they get me and they delivered on
it. That's huge. That's huge. A lot of the guys that we have that are in here are, they run a program, whether it's a 4-week, a 6-week, their program happens to be a 6-week program. And, they run other programs too, like accountability programs, like we all do as gym owner, small group and large group, ultimately wanting to make them, the clients, stay at least for 6 months, and hopefully they stay for a lifetime, 2 or 3 years, 4 years, or however long it may be. But retention, obviously becomes an issue. How to keep the client engaged consistently. And once the client comes in the door, like say an example is they come in a 6-week, and a lot of these guys have run the 6-week for years, right? So a lot of it has become, at the end of the day, becomes saturated over time, just like any other program becomes saturated, and you're not getting as many people that you would have liked to come in. And so what's been able to help them through our marketing and the 21-day detox, that's in front of it, but then the 8-step strategy behind that has been able to engage clients, bring a massive amount of people in, have them do a 21-day offer, give them a bunch of value, accountability, everything that the program has to offer inside their gym. And then from there, rolling them into their high ticket programs or their high programs, or rolling them into the accountability program, or even better, back into the EFT, because that's exactly where we want them, right? Paying that 127 or whatever we call it, 227 or 327 a month. So, with all that being said, like for you, what would you say, like as far as retention tactics that you're able to use? Retention tactics in the way of engaging the client after with your, with the click funnels and the strategy that you're using.
So, so as far as once someone's in our funnel, I always look at it, like I said, and we do this a lot of times through email sequence. Like for my fitness business, the sequence is completely email, and I want to move it. Actually, I want to, because I'm trying this with my fitness business owners on a much smaller scale. I want Facebook Messenger sequences have a much higher open rate. Around 70 to 80 compared to email. It's not as saturated yet. And so I want to get there, and I've seen good tests with that. But even in the email, right? Once we have that, like I said, we know that not everyone's going to open it and not everyone's going to read it. But I think the number one thing is to just carry a conversation, right? And so I always like to look at it, and that's why I said it's easy for me to get on to, 50, 100 like email sequences, because I think of it as I'm talking to this person, right? So if I just gave you this thing, and maybe I offered you something else, right? If I said, hey, here's, this cheat sheet, and, I also have this, but you didn't take me up on it. Cool. But if I was in person, what else would I say next to you, right? First I'd probably follow up and be like, hey man, did you check out that cheat sheet? And that's it. Like there's a lot of times, I feel like a lot of times when people sit down to write emails or follow things, they want to get outside of themselves and they want to do, this big, like kind of corporate or, whatever it is. And people are so starting to get more and more turned off by that. They want the realness. right? Especially if they've met you already or if they watched a video of you. And so, just carrying, that's how I do it. It's just like, all right, and like I said, that was just kind of natural for us. Like, yeah, of course you'd ask me if you see me again, like, hey man, did you check that out? All right, did you implement it? Like, hey, it's not working for you. Like, hey, remember I got this? Like, just carrying that conversation on and on, is how I always look at it.
The realness, right? So what would you say to the gym owner right now that's like, they feel like they're not at that level as far as writing, writing copy and getting all that. But that's obviously something that we need to learn, right? One of a mentor that, I follow a lot of them, but, Steve Jobs says you find the people that are better than you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you employ them. But at some points inside of our business, we're not able to do that. So we have to carry that on, right?
Absolutely.
How do you, for you being such a great writer and copy in that and engaging people, what's like a simple method that you use, maybe like a 3-step or 2-step method that engages people, which really makes them feel like you're really speaking directly to them? Because I talk about that a lot inside of, our strategy, is that's
Mm-hmm.
what's missing with gym owners, right? Is that they're sending these massive texts and these massive emails and these massive personal messages, and that's all good. But once the person feels like they're a robot, then that's
Mm-hmm.
off-putting. Psychologically, since we were caveman and cave women and all that rolling around fields, man, it was belly to belly. And it's still, the social network is where we need to be belly to belly. And the ones
Right.
that are winning are being belly to belly. And you just spoke on that very powerfully in the email click and the funnel sequence. Like, what's a strategy a quick strategy
easiest strategy, man, is, and I'm not like some great like copywriter, but like I said, so that's the mind frame I'm in. I'll give you guys a hack, is to like, you can record yourself. Literally get your recorder app on it. You would, like I said, just like me and you did, and be like, all right, like just start carrying that conversation. Then you can go back, you can listen to it, or if you go to like rev.com, rev.com, you can get it transcribed, and maybe you ask yourself a list of questions, or and then there's each one of your email sequences, like I said, just like the next step there. And then I said you can once you kind of see you have all that copy, then you can kind of tweak or make it a little bit more you or whatever, but just speaking it, that's like the best way. Let's say or you could let's say you write an email, you got, again, your phone, you can voice text it, there, like as it types the email, just like as you would be speaking to a person. And then whatever comes out, don't go back and, like I said, don't try to make it like edit and like fix it and polish it all. Like, that's cool. Like, that's real. Like, people are going to realize that. And so that's my number one tip for copywriting all the time, is, like I said, I'm just speaking it. Like I said, I like to speak. I'm a pretty good speaker. I think I can relate to people. And I feel like all gym owners can, right? It's a personable, profession. And so your client. So just, like I said, just act like you're already talking to one of your clients that you already know, that you talk to every day. Like I said, record yourself, have it transcribed, and there you got email sequences, you got copy, landing page copy, for days.
We're hitting it, bro. We're hitting it. Do we still have a little bit more time, man? Because I know, I'm trying to check my clock, man, but I'm so engaged right now. Do we have?
Yeah, no, I'm cool. Keep rolling.
Okay, cool, man. Everyone that's on right now, Jerry, Chad, Blair, Coach Forrest, man, everyone that's on right now, man, go ahead and shoot those questions. And also, too, if you're on that week or on the replay, go ahead and shoot those questions. I want to make sure that Elijah is able to answer. And we just gone over some amazing, sequences that can be used inside of your business that you may be already using, but hearing different hacks from a specialist is always awesome, that you can always implement that in. So back to the ClickFunnels, man, because I'm so intrigued with it. We use it and we're using that. But the 100+ email sequence as opposed to the 3 to 7 email sequence, right? Like,
right.
What's the difference in how you're engaging that person?
So like I said, every campaign is different. So really, most of my ClickFunnels campaigns, pretty large. Like, I think so. And like I said, it's just, there's like probably emails for each step. So for instance, let's say someone gets to the funnel, in our specific funnel, they can give us their name and email, but maybe they don't fill out an application. All right, cool. Well, I got, I got 7 emails right there alone just for that person that didn't take that action. And, it's the same thing. It's just that conversation. It's like, hey, you're interested, like, what's up? Two of the emails in there, I'm giving them some value. I actually give them like, nutrition, like kitchen, how abs are made in the kitchen, guide. So it's like just that kind of building that goodwill there. Because again, if we were talking face to face with someone and someone's in your gym and they're like, hey, maybe they couldn't afford it or whatever, but you just spent, 45 minutes, an hour talking to this person, you'd still want to, kind of like goodwill. You'd be like, hey, well, look, you may not be able to do this right now, but here's this tip, like do this with your kitchen, like, or swap out these things here, like giving that value. So like I said, I'm just having that conversation in my head. So sequences for that right there, just from that conversation. Like I said, I'll space them out a day or two in between. Boom. All right. Then for the person that fills out an application, and we need to get them in on a consultation, right? So we like to call a lot of our people, obviously when they get applications, but, maybe they don't answer our call or, whatever. And so we still want to have another email sequence for that. Again, another 7 emails. That one's a little more personal level because it's like, hey, like you apply, like, you applied, like, what's up? Like, this was important. We have their application. So there's some questions on there. We can kind of hit some of those pain points where it's talking about, this is how it's going to change you. You can relate it to someone just like you would if I was talking to you. I'd be like, yeah, man, I helped, John do the same thing, like, just that. Another, 7 emails. So like right there, 2 steps, the very first 2 steps of my funnel, there's 14 some emails. And so like I said, every step we had some emails. And then I just kept on going, right? So once someone sits down, for a consult, all right, did they apply? Did they not apply? Right? Just because someone doesn't sign up with me right away, yeah, we let that lead walk out the door, but I got another email sequence for them, right? And it's like, boom, immediately it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I tag them in it. It's like, in the sequence, it's like, all right, they came in for consult, they didn't sign up. Boom, I'll put them in the sequence. And it's just like, hey, thanks for coming in so much, like, da 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 da. Talking about how value of their goals and stuff, and but again, talking about how important it is, and like how, and again, for us, it's just kind of building that goodwill. It's not necessarily to go back to our program. It's just like, hey, these are the 3 things we always try to in our council give. These are 3 things that you need, right? You need that accountability. You need that step-by-step program. You need that like boom, and that just like talking about how important that is. And then for someone who's technically not interested, maybe we a little bit longer, right? Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks. And it's just like, boom, hey, here's this value. You kind of put them in a nurture sequence. Maybe it's just, like I said, we post weekly recipes on our blog post, right? Maybe it's that. Maybe another 2 weeks is just hey, how your goals going, right? Like, again, just if I just happen to see that person in passing, like, hey, yeah, oh yeah, I met you like 4 weeks ago. You came in for a consult. Like, are you still, you still working towards your goals? Like, what's up with that? Like, just that. So 7 to 10 emails there, right? Someone starts our program. Awesome. Okay, we got a weekly, bi-weekly follow-up sequence for that. It's like, hey, you started the program. Like, after they get all their onboarding emails and everything, it's like, week 1's over. Like, how'd you do? Any questions? Like, so it's just that, again, that conversation, just normal things you would ask people. You said you could just go and go and go with emails, if you just think about that.
Mm. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, you've got it down, and you could tell that, like, I like to call myself a nerd when it comes to our strategy, man. And I used to not like to be called that, and actually I never was called that in high school, right? But man, I'll tell you what, man, you got some tremendous information. You could tell you definitely specialize in that. Tell me a little bit more about, like, being a Facebook, strategist, right? Like, our whole goal, just a quick story for us, what happened with us, we were running our 21-day detox, a lot. And, ever since, all the way since like 2008, right?
Wow.
And, in marketing, right? You had the emails and mailers, right? Or not emails, but you had mailers, right? And if we ran our business just on mailers, obviously our business wouldn't run anymore, right? So you got to stay innovative. You got to stay on top of it, And then there was Groupon, where that was a big rush where you get 100, 200, 300 people showing up at your door. That's no longer happening for the most part, and that I know of, right? And then you got Facebook ads, right? Where everyone jumped on the Facebook ads, And I remember we would run an ad, and, we get like 200 people showing up at our door, right, on a run. And all you would have to do is have a nice copy, that was up there, and it would bring people in. But then the ads started to get very saturated. And, in some of our markets, there's like 20 gyms within a 2-mile radius, right? And then you got some juggernauts that are right there on your corner too as well, that have high ad spend. They're paying $350 a day, $1,000 a day, or whatever they need to spend to make sure that they're engaging the same exact niche that you want to engage, even though you're giving them a different experience because, different personalities in a sense, right? So like the Facebook ad, like how do you see that working for you and for the gym owners that you've been able to, the many gym owners that you've been able to work for? Is it dying, or is there some sort of tweaks that you can use inside that ad now that wakes it up for the person that's in a saturated market with juggernauts on every corner? I mean,
yeah. So one, no, it's not dying. Facebook ads are here, and it's here to stay for a long time. But one of the things I tell anyone, and first of all, I tell people, do not get fancy and emotionally attached to how to make your money, right? So I love Facebook right now, but what Facebook is a fucking tool, right? It's a screwdriver, it's a wrench, like maybe a power drill comes along in 10 years, and they said, and that's cool. That's exactly what you're talking about. The group, like, we're just going to pivot. But the strategy behind it is you have to understand your platform, right? And so a lot of people, first thing I see a lot of people is they're marketing on Facebook the same way they were marketing on the mailers, right? Or on Groupon, right? And that's not congruent with this social engaging platform anymore, just like you were saying. And so there's a couple things that you can do. And, without going too much into, all the setup that goes behind a campaign is, first of all, you need to understand what Facebook is trying to accomplish. Facebook ads is 98% of Facebook's revenue. It's over $1 billion company, right? So they want you to spend money, right? But play by their rules, right? So again, just throwing up transformation posts and those things it's not gonna work for you anymore. Actually, they don't even allow you to use transformation posts, so they'll ban it. So a couple things I like to do is, first things first is, again, narrowing who I want to talk to very specifically is important, because Facebook is huge. They have a lot of their own data, but they've partnered with all the big data companies, and they buy data as well. And so, for instance, let's go back to my example earlier. If I'm talking about targeting stay-at-home moms, I can definitely, if I say, hey, average mom, in my area, maybe that's, 30 to 45, 30 to 55, 5-mile radius, right? 2-mile radius, whatever. All right. And a lot of people say, oh, and I tagged them in, interested in fitness and health. All right, cool. But that's still a pretty big market again. And you said there's a lot of players. And I'm from Columbus, Ohio. So we got probably like 40 gyms, in a 5-mile, radius like that, like 60. And so, all right. But with this data I have, maybe instead of fitness and health, maybe I go target Pampers, right? So a woman within a 5-mile radius of me who's, 30 to 55 and associates with Pampers, that tells me she has a kid, right? Facebook even has some data where it segments and it has stay-at-home moms specifically. And so maybe that's not my whole program, but if I start to create this very one campaign on just that, I can dominate, boom, the stay-at-home moms in there, right? And I've just taken this big audience where everyone else is playing for, and I've kind of gotten here, and so my money goes farther, and what's more important is the message I speak to specifically can be much more emotional to them and the things they're dealing with, because I don't care how rational of a person you think you are. I think I'm very rational, not very emotional person. Every decision we make is emotional, right? Every buying decision we make is emotional. Either we're because we're so excited, or we're in pain, right? And so when you evoke that emotion, that's when you can start your journey into your funnel and all the other things we were just talking about. So no, it's not dead. Like I said, and then like I said, just understanding the platform as well. Like I said, when you run Facebook ads, there's a lot of things you can do. And a lot of gym owners I see now, they just kind of do the post engagement objective, which is totally fine if that works for you right now. But there's some powerful things in things like conversions, right? A conversion. A lot of people say, well, that doesn't work for me. Well, because again, you got to understand Facebook's playing the game. So Facebook has told us, it's right there out in black and white, that if you want to run a conversion campaign, it's going to optimize it for you, right? It's going to find the best people for you if you give it 50 conversions a week per ad set, right? So what's that mean? That means if I set my conversion point as someone who fills out an application, and I'm only getting 20 or 25 a week, and then I'm saying, man, it's not working, or it's really high, or whatever that means. Like, no, I just got to play by Facebook's rules, right? So instead of, all you need to do to fix that is take your conversion point that you're giving Facebook one step back, right? So if I'm not getting 50 applications per ad set per week, all right, am I getting 50 leads, right? That first step where they're just getting their name and email, right? I'm getting way more than 50 there. So I set that as my first conversion point, right? I'm playing Facebook's game. Here's the data, right? Once it gets that data, cool. Now I can go to my next conversion step in the funnel, right? So anytime that's happening, and once it starts to get, man, I'm telling you, once Facebook starts to get that data, boy, it starts working for you. Like, I feel like I've talked to gym owners where they feel like, Facebook just have to take my money. Like, I'm like, no, Facebook is not in the business of taking your money and screwing you over, because this is how they make their money. 98% of over $1 billion company, they want you to spend money and keep spending money and more and more. So they want it to work for you, but you got to play by their rules. And so that's the biggest thing I see there, as far as Facebook goes, is people just not playing by the rules.
I love that. And just right there, just exactly what you said. I mean, you're on right now. We got a lot of our gym owners that are on, and they're hearing this. This is powerful, right? Because the fact that you got 40 gyms around your area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think it's around 20 or some odd 20 that I remember, right? I mean, there's a lot of gym owners that are around us too as well, and where you're at too as well. I mean, on this when you're on here on this show. But I love the fact that you're a student, right, Elijah?
Mm-hmm.
You're a student of this practice that you've been able to specialize, right? As far as waking up the ad and doing what Facebook tells you to do, because they're always changing. They're always shifting,
Yeah.
right? In our sleep, they're shifting and they're changing. So whether you run your ad or not, and I'm talking to us as gym owners, whether you run your ad and you might be thinking, well, oh, you know what? Well, I already have a tech that does my ad. Well, if you're not a student of this process, then how are you going to be able to speak to your tech? Because your tech might not be doing the right thing, right? And you
Right.
keep on this tech or whatever it is to do this, right? And I just love
Right.
the nuggets just gave right now. It was like boom, boom, bang, pow, man. I was about to drop the phone real quick. I thought it was gonna blow up, man. But man, yeah, man. I mean, just going on that, like, what else would you say? Just going off of that, like on that Facebook ad. I love how you said, like, instead of targeting, like, the transformation's not working anymore, right? In a sense, right? So targeting, Huggies, right? Or for someone like that's a stay-at-home mom. Or, for us, for the most part, we're looking at anywhere between 25 to 55-year-old women, right? At the end of the day, men come along with that too as well. What would be some great points that we can use that Facebook, being a student of them, to be able to engage them inside the ad?
Yeah, I think one of the and it can still be motivating. But even on your landing pages and thing, you guys try this. Stop using your best transformation photos. And that sounds crazy, but as soon as I say this is going to make sense to you.
That's huge, though.
Because it's intimidating, right? That's the number one thing that people say, is they don't want to go to the gym because it's intimidating. They think that when they come to you, your prospects, even when they come in for challenges, they think that everyone that comes in there is already going to be fit, they're going to be ripped, et cetera, et cetera. And so when we show her Jenny, who lost 85 pounds, and it's like, well, shoot, am I going to be able to, like, they feel like, Jenny's a badass already. But if you use, Lisa, who, maybe she was a smaller lady and, she, 10 pounds or so, or even if you use them, just make sure that that it's like, hey, none of these people were perfect. Like, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress, right? None of these people were perfect. The only thing that they did right was every day they just tried to get a little bit better, right? You're going to have those days where, you're stressed out. You had to go, you missed your workout because work went over. You had to go pick up the kids. You went home and you had one glass of wine, then that turned to two, then that turned to three, and then the bottle was gone. Like, we have to make that okay, because it is, right? They come in there and it's intimidating. And so if you can start to, again, focus around that it's about the lifestyle and improving, and that's on your journey, in your funnels and things like that, it becomes less intimidating. So that's a really big hack that we've noticed. So like I said, in ours, we actually, I think we've gone down to 3, where our page used to just be like tons of, transformation videos and stuff like that. And like I said, or even if I do use a transformation video, I'll pull the ones where, it's like people are like, the biggest thing for me was just the change of the energy, like, or, I just started eating, those things. Cause that's like, they're like, hey, I could do that. So that's probably there, a big one. And then, like I said, yeah, just getting in to know your prospect. Cause like I said, Facebook has a lot, and I do this a lot. Just go through like, when you're in Facebook, go through and select all those interests. Like I open every single category, whether it has to do with fitness or not. I just like learn, like I just like shoot. Facebook has all this data. Like you might find some nuggets that you may never even think of in there. But like I said, just sit down and think. Like I said, we were talking about stay-at-home moms. Okay, cool. Maybe Huggies was a good one. How about this? Why don't you search and see what daytime television shows are on at that time? I don't know. I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I don't watch TV then. But the people who are watching those shows are only stay-at-home moms, right? Because it's a daytime television show. So if you could target that as an interest, right? You can, again, you're taking your message into this very small niche, and your dollars are going to go farther rather than, the Lifetime Fitness or the LA Fitness owner who's just, throwing this big, massive spend for, a 1 week trial. And again, like I said, we get people every day, they're intimidated by it. They don't want to go in, right? And so you can really win if you just play the game right.
It's all about winning right now, right? I mean, and by the way, Elijah, I want to thank you so much, man, because I've been asking you questions that's been totally off the script. I'm like a script guy, right? And man, I want to thank you so much, man, because I know you may not be or you may be, but I had sent the script. Hey, these are the questions that I'm going to ask, but then taking those nuggets that you have, man, because I always talk about it like we're only one skill away, right? We really are. And we're only one skill away from making everything explode, and there's every performer that's here in this gym, I'm not just saying it, it's the truth. They're high performers, 1%ers in what they do. I mean, they're smashing, doing some great things, not only in the community, but it's a win-win because they're being able to do great things, being able to open up location after location after location, or if they have one location, they're doing really well with that location. But just, man, I want to thank you so much. And the last question that I have is, I know obviously you got a gift for us, and that's what's so awesome, man. You got a gift that you're going to be able to give. And so I can't wait to go ahead and put that in the comments for everyone to partake in that gift. But what's one question that I could have asked that I didn't that would really even add to this, or is just everything that you said has been powerful already, but add to this as far as with, sequencing, engaging a cold lead, bringing them in, lead magnets, being inside the ad and really understanding what Facebook is doing and how they're changing, understanding really your client instead of having an archaic message, because a lot of us get stuck in our ego and we're really only speaking to ourselves, and we're no longer speaking to the stay-at-home mom or the 30-year-old or the 40-year-old or the 50-year-old, right? We're saying what we want to hear. But as you were saying, being a student of it and going, okay, find out what TV show they like, I mean, dude, when you said that, I'm like, I really don't even know the TV show. So there might be an archaic response that's coming from me, and I don't even know it, but I'm stuck in my ego, right? But what's maybe one thing that you tell your gym owners that you have, and just even for yourself even as well, that you use that is just constantly bringing people in the door? Because I love that. The predictable, I'm right? The predictable client system. Right? I mean, wouldn't it just be nice? And you were showing me some screenshots of gym owners that you have that are just smashing. Like literally, I think it was one of them, like $10,000 in like 5 days, or some crazy statistic like that, right? But what if we could just bring in, predictably, just 10 clients a month, just off of one spoke on the wheel across all of our locations? That's a major win. 15, 30, you know what I mean? Like that's even 50, 100, right? But yeah.
So the biggest thing I'd say about that, and where we got the predictable client system part of it, is okay. So when we're running ads, honestly, it doesn't matter what your ad spend is, right? Like I said, I got a buddy Rick who we work with who doesn't have a staff. He's all by himself. He only spends $500 a month. Really small budget. Totally fine. We got, people that does $1,500 a month up to $10,000, right? When you get to that level, that's what you want to do. Totally fine. The predictable part of it is for each step of your funnel, there's a cost, right? And we don't think about that a lot of times. And so we want to make sure that each step of those funnels, each step of our funnel, we know our numbers, right? So for instance, maybe I have a great landing page that's converting at 40%, but the standard is 20, right? So I need to map out before I ever run a campaign. Hey, how much, let's say how many people do I need to get 10 clients, right? Based on average numbers, right? So 20% of people that click on the ad are going to become a lead. Cool. Of those people that become a lead, maybe 20% of those people fill out an application. Cool. Of those 20%, 40% of those people that are left are actually going to schedule their consult. And then of those people that schedule a consult, only 70% are going to show up for it. Cool. And then what's my sales percentage? What's my close rate? Is that 70? Is that 80? Is that 90? Boom. Now I know my numbers. And so when I go in, before I run a campaign, I can say, once I do that, and I spit all those numbers out, I can say, hey, well, that's only going to leave me with 2 sales. All right, cool. Well, then by then you have the cost for everything. That how many people did you need to put in the top end of the funnel to get 2 sales out? And so we know up front that, again, predictably, that this is an average of what it should cost me to acquire a new client, right? So for every 100, this is a real number for us, for about 100, every $165 we bring in, we spend on Facebook, we should bring a new client in. And it's at a $300 some dollar offer. And so we're making 2 to 1 return on our money. Awesome. Right. And then once you have those basic numbers and we're running, I can know that again, that's how some of our people can throw $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 in ad spend because they're making it back because we know our numbers. And so we can predictably know, and then we monitor those things. So if something's not working, right, if I see that, okay, or maybe something is working better, right? So maybe my opt-in rate's 40%. Awesome. Right. Like, that's good. So then you can just kind of improve each piece, and it allows you to see what's wrong in your campaign. For instance, again, if I'm just not getting enough people into to fill out applications, that means there's something wrong with my landing page. If I'm not getting enough people to click to view the landing page, that means there's something wrong with my ad, or the copy in my ad, or the image in my ad, right? If I'm not getting enough people that fill out applications to come in for a consult, that means we're doing something wrong in our follow-up, right? Maybe we're not calling fast enough. Maybe we're not, you see what I'm saying? If we're not closing enough, there's something wrong with our sales process. And so it's just streamlining all of that. And once you do that, and you know your numbers, you can predictably, and like I said, and you always want to go for the worst, right? Like I said, 2020, we want to go with the averages, the industry averages, because that's what you base it off on. Like I said, if you get 40% conversion rate, or, then you just start really skyrocketing and making way past your money. That's where we get to the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times returns. But yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, everything that you gave me, man, as far as credentials, creator of predictable client systems, and Facebook marketing strategist, and ClickFunnels campaign specialist and strategist, man. I'll tell you what, man, lived up to that and then some. And so, man, if anyone that's listening to this replay right now, go ahead and shoot some questions. I'm gonna throw them over to Elijah so he can connect with you. Anyone that's live on, as a matter of fact. Blair, man, what's going on right there? Great to have you on. Jerry, Chad, what's going on? Thomas, Kurt, Latasha, Forrest, Matt Weaver out there. Yes, Adrian and Matt out there in New Jersey too as well, man. I'll tell you what, man, just grateful to have you guys on. So any questions that you have, make sure you still shoot those questions in here. We're about to head out right now, but Elijah, how can they get a hold of you? If they need to have any questions or anything like that, where could they go?
Facebook's the biggest way, man, for sure. Like I said, I'll reach out and connect with you guys on Facebook. Just send me a message, and we can always, connect there. Welcome to answer your questions. I got a gift for you guys as well. Anthony asked me for a gift, and so you'll get that. But yeah, like I said, promise, and someone's good with that, like you tell them that, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and you come out and blow it out the water, that you can really do good. So that's what I always try to do. So yeah, you hit me up on Facebook, man, and I'll definitely try to connect and help wherever I can.
Man, try to connect, man. I'm totally impressed with that, because I would like to think that I'm like the personal message and Text Pro, man, because the rates, I mean, 1.3 billion people are on personal message right now, right? I mean, that's where that's not going anywhere. And then on text, a 98% open rate and 45% response rate. So, but I'll tell you what, right when I personal message you, man, it was like within a second, man. And then it was just with a gift hand, man. So I'll tell you what, man, I'm excited and just really grateful for you once again. And we got to run this back, man. And definitely I gotta speak at one of these conferences too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you so much, Elijah. And thanks everyone for being on. Hey guys, you guys have a great day and let's get it. Thank you so much again, Elijah.
You're welcome.
Awesome.